I just grabbed the slot front and rear two-piece rotors for my B9S4. Nice choice. Thank you for that. What pads do you recommend? That there's no pad choice or preference with our rotors. So whatever pad is right for the solution or situation.
I feel like there's an analogy happening here.
No,
Metaphor.
no, it's just, like, yeah, no, I mean, yeah. So,
what kind of shoes do you put on in the morning?
Factory,
you going hiking? You going walking? You going
factory OEM pads or suitable aftermarket replacements for the street?
Yep.
Are typically a good choice. Now, I guess we could comment on what have we been using on track. I like Paget
on the B9. I mean, it's been up there between. It's different between each car. We're not stuck on
a lot of it's availability,
time frames. But yeah, Carbotech, Pagets.
What have we been using? Do we know what we've been using on B9 specifically?
Nothing that we want to advertise.
Okay. Yeah. I will just generally say I've been using, of all the pads I've ever used, which is dozens, Paget track pads. I've had the best overall experiences with. I really like the yellow compound, which is a RS. I believe that's called RS14.
Yeah, they changed a bunch of.
They may have changed it, but
I think that's still it.
It was like kind of the yellow compound, which is a really nice track pad. Doesn't need to heat up a lot. I've never gotten them to fade. I've boiled brake fluid with them, but it wasn't a problem with the pad. And but yeah, I mean, generally, shop around. We used to do a line of brake pads with cobalt friction, and we ultimately weren't happy with the quality of the product. There were some other issues too, so we dropped that product line. But I'm not sure what's available for pads right now. So you can look around. But if you're driving on the street, I'll say one thing about pads is there's no such thing as one size fits all brake pads. So there's a lot of like street track compound. It's like that's bullshit. There's no such thing. So on the street you want something that's quiet, has great initial bite, and doesn't produce a ton of dust. That's what you want on the street. On the track, you want something that produces prolific amounts of dust, like Mount Vesuvius. On the city of Vesuvius. You want it to screech like the dragon in Game of Thrones.
You don't want to expect it to be comfortable when it's cold and you're first thing in the morning.
It's going to be a terrible driving experience on the street, but you don't want them to fade, and you want them. They don't have to have great initial bite, but after one lap, you want them to warm up and start working.
Yep.
Part of the problem is if you get a compound that's too aggressive and you don't heat it up, then it will stay in an abrasive mode and basically just wear your brake rotors down.
Yeah, you're just cheese gratering your rotors.
Yeah, and there's a state in a brake pad that you want to get it to, which is I don't know if adhesion or adiabatic, which basically the pad is no longer working on friction like sandpaper would. It's working on more of a kind of a mechanical grip between the pad surface and the rotor face. Much like if you were dragging your hand across a pane of glass. So, when you have a really aggressive pad compound that's frankly designed for a much faster car or a much better driver, who has much higher entry speeds and much more brake loads, then the pad will get to a suitable temperature. But then the brake system also has to be able to deal with that amount of heat, which typically means ducting to cool it. So this is you're getting into like pretty fancy race car stuff at that point. But if you get the right track compound, which isn't necessarily the most aggressive, but much more aggressive than a street pad, and you can play with some different stuff and see what you like. But if this is the problem we have with those cobalts is our customers wouldn't always get them up to temp, and they just burn through a set of rotors in like one track day. It's basically like machining.